Hello, guys and girls, and welcome to today's lesson. As you can see here on the screen, the topic that we're going to be talking about today is how to write a professional email. And the reason that we're talking about this today is because there are a little over 20 of you who all are going to be writing some articles in the very near future, and each of you has a list of people who you need to interview. And honestly, guys, trying to coordinate all of you all finding a time to sit down and interview all of the different people that we're going to have to collect information from is going to be pretty difficult. So there might be some of you that are able to sit down and actually conduct an interview, but just for logistical reasons and to make our lives a little bit easier, most of us are going to be interviewing people for our articles via email. And so, since we're going to be emailing people, some of you guys have different teachers in the building that you want to talk to, different adults in the building, possibly even like some coaches and things like that. We want to make sure that we are approaching this in a professional manner, because if we are sending an email for the purposes of our journalism class, we might construct that email in a way that's a little bit different than if we were sending an email to like our mom or to our friend. And so we want to make sure that we know what that needs to look like. So that's going to be the purpose of this lesson for today. I do need you guys to take some notes. So if you don't have your journalism notebook, you need to get that. You also need to make sure you have a pencil ready to go. When you are ready, go ahead and give your notes a title up at the top, how to write a professional email. And then once you've done that, we can go ahead and jump in here and get started. So, I've touched on this a little bit already, but we're going to start by talking about why this matters. Why is it important, number one, to know how to write a professional email, but also for our purposes, why are we so concerned about making sure that our emails are professional? Number one, it shows respect to our interviewee. If we approach them in a way that demonstrates a level of maturity and a level of professionalism, I think that they're going to understand that this is something that we're taking very seriously, right? I mean, this is a class for middle school, but we do have a goal in mind. We are trying to produce this newspaper. And so we want to set a good impression. And one way to do that is by showing respect to the people that we are interviewing in the manner in which we talk to them, even though we're not talking to them face to face. Number two, it also helps you to get the information that you need. Like I just said, we do have a goal here. We have a job that we're trying to do, which is to write some articles for our school newspaper. And this is going to be the manner in which we get that information. And last but not least, it just makes you look good, right? If you send an email and you are maybe using some informal language, maybe you have spelling mistakes, maybe you use like text talk instead of using correct grammar and punctuation. You are a middle schooler, so sometimes that's expected, but we do want these people to take us seriously. Like I said, some of you guys are going to be contacting different adults, maybe even some people outside of our building, but we want to make sure that even though we are middle schoolers, we are approaching this with a professional manner. Please make sure you have copied everything that you see on this slide, and once you've done that, you can move on. So let's talk about some tips, some things that you need to do to make sure that these emails that you are going to send are going to sound professional. Number one, we want to keep it short and clear. A lot of you guys are going to be interviewing people who are very, very busy. Teachers are very busy. Our administrators are very busy. Our lunch ladies are very busy. Our cafeteria workers are very busy. All of these people have lives and things that they need to do, and they're not going to have a ton of time to commit to reading a big, long email. So we're going to keep it very short, and we're also going to be clear about why we are emailing them. Number two, we want to make sure that we are using correct grammar and spelling, and we are not using texting language. We're not using emojis. We're not using slang words. And we've already touched on that a little bit. It really goes back to that professionalism that we're shooting for here. We also want to make sure we are using a polite and respectful tone. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. We are asking these people to take time out of their day to respond to us in emails. And so we want to make sure that we are showing them respect and showing them that we appreciate their time. And last but not least, proofread before sending. So what that means is you're not just going to type it up and 3 seconds later hit send. Okay, we're going to have a process that we're going to follow. And part of that process is going to be sharing your email with your section leaders. So section leaders, you guys are going to have a little bit of an extra task, and we'll talk more about that here in just a second. But also, I'm going to be proofreading your emails. So we will not be immediately sending them out as soon as we get them typed. We want to make sure that they look really nice. So with all that being said, please copy what you see on this slide. And once you've done that, you can move on. All right, here is the structure that we're going to follow for our emails. Number one, we're going to talk about subject lines. The subject line is the part up at the top where you insert a subject of the email so that the person that you're sending it to will see that before they actually open your email. We're going to talk about what your greeting should look like. We're going to talk about what your introduction should look like, which is where you're going to introduce yourself and you're going to tell about why you're emailing this person, your purpose in your request, your gratitude, and a polite close. That just simply means thanking the person you are sending the email to for their time. And then last but not least, your signature at the end of the email. And we will be going through and looking at an example of what exactly this should look like. But for now, please make sure you have copied what you see here on the screen. And once you've done that, you can move on. All right, let's talk about the subject line first. When I say subject line, I'm talking about before you actually start typing the email. When you type in the person's name, who you're sending it to, you also have the option to add a subject of your email. This is actually going to be a crucial step for us because you all are going to probably be interviewing some people who maybe not be expecting an email from you. So I know, like for me, if a random student were to send me an email and there wasn't a subject line, I honestly might delete it thinking that it's a mistake or that they didn't intend to send it to me. But we want to make sure that that doesn't happen to us. So we're going to have some very clear subject lines so that the person who we've emailed knows, like, hey, this is something important. I need to take a look at this. We don't want to put a subject that says something like, hey, right? That's not very specific. It doesn't give a lot of information. Instead, we are all going to be using the same subject line, which is what we see right here on the screen. We're all going to put the subject interview request for journalism class project. So that should make it pretty easy. I'm giving you the subject. Go ahead and copy what you see here on the screen. And once you've done that, you can move on. All right, so after you have identified your person's email address, you've typed in your subject, the first thing that you're going to type in the actual body of the email is a greeting. Remember, we are shooting for professionalism here, so we're not going to say, hey, Bob, or hey, Mr. Patterson, or hey, lunch lady. We're going to start by saying, dear. And then we're going to address them with their proper title. So Mr., Mrs., if for some reason we were like possibly interviewing a student, it would maybe be okay to just put their first and last name. But if it's an adult, especially, we want to make sure that we are showing that respect with a Mr. or a Mrs. followed by their last name. So go ahead and copy what you see here on the screen. Make sure you're making it very clear which example is the good example and which is the non-example. And once you've done that, you can go ahead and move on. After your greeting, dear Miss or Mr., whoever you're emailing, then you're going to get into your introduction. Remember, we want to keep it pretty brief, pretty short, and so you're simply going to make sure you state your name. You're going to say that this is for your journalism class at LaRue County Middle School. And an example of what this might look like when it's all put together would be something like, my name is Jordan Brown. I'm an 8th grade student in Miss Dangerfield's journalism class at LaRue County Middle School. Okay, again, guys, we're keeping it short, simple, sweet, and to the point. Name, class, and school for your introduction. Please go ahead and copy what you see on this slide, and once you've done that, you can move on. Okay, so after your introduction, you're going to start a new paragraph. And this new paragraph is going to be where you actually make the request, provide some details, let your person know that you would like to interview them by explaining what you need. You're going to maybe tell them that I am writing an article about high school marching band, or I am writing an article about all the different topics, eighth grade boys football team, eighth grade girls basketball team, all of the different things that you guys have come up with. You're going to let them know, hey, I am writing an article for our school paper about this, and I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions. Now, you could either type your questions on a Google Doc and attach the Google Doc to the email, or you could also just insert your questions directly in the email. That will be your choice, and we'll be talking more about that here in just a moment. For now, please make sure that you copy everything that you see on this slide, and then you can move on. All right, so after you give your greeting, dear Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, you introduce yourself. You tell them what you're writing about and why you're emailing them to ask them some questions. You include your questions. Then you are going to express gratitude. Remember, again, like we've said, they're taking time out of their day to read an email and hopefully respond to an email from you. So we're going to thank them for their time, and then we're going to bring our email to a close. For example, that might look something like, thank you for considering my request. I look forward to hearing from you soon. So go ahead and copy everything that you see on this slide, and then you can move on. Last but not least, you are going to have a closing and a signature. When we are writing a professional email, a great way to close would be by saying something like sincerely or best regards. Then you will put a comma and you will put your first name and you will put your last name. Please make sure that you copy everything that you see on this slide, and then you can move on. So if we were to put all of those things together, your email might look something like this. The subject, remember I said we're all going to include the same subject, interview request for your journalism class. Then you have your greeting, dear Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so. Then you introduce yourself. My name is Jordan Brown. I'm an 8th grade student in Miss Dangerfield's journalism class at LaRue County Middle School. Then you make your request and you tell them your purpose. I am writing to request an interview for an article I am working on. I have attached my interview questions. Again, you could either put them directly in the email or you could attach them via a Google Doc. Thank you for your time and consideration, and then sincerely, and you're going to sign your name down at the bottom. Okay, you do not have to copy that last slide of notes, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you what your next step is going to be. I have posted this on Google Classroom, and this is basically a template that you guys are going to be following to construct your emails. Okay, so it says use this template to draft your email before sending it. Guys, really, this is mostly just a fill in the blank, right? I've included the subject. Dear, remember you're going to include their title and their name. My name is blank. Obviously, guys, you're filling in the blank there. I'm an 8th grade student, Miss Dangerfield's journalism class. I am working on an article about blank. This is when you're going to insert the topic of your article. And I would like to interview you as part of my research. I have included a list of my interview questions below. Or if you are going to attach a Google Doc, you would say, I've attached my questions to this email. Please let me know if you would prefer to answer them by email or if we could set up a short time to meet. Thank you very much for your time and consideration. I look forward to your response, and then sincerely, and you're going to sign your name. Down at the bottom, there is a checklist of things that you can double check, but guys, as long as you're following this format, you are going to be fine. Here is your assignment for the rest of the period. You are going to copy what you see, literally copy and paste it into an email, and you are going to be going ahead and filling out this email as if you were going to actually send it to the person who you plan to interview. I don't want you to send it to them yet. I want you to send the email to me, and I also want you to send your email to your section editor. Now, obviously, section editors, you don't have to send it to yourself. You are just sending your email to me. I'm going to have section editors look over the emails, and I'm also going to be looking over the emails myself to make sure that everything looks good. And then once I've approved it, this will come later this week, I will actually allow you to send your email to the person who you planned to interview. As you are going through this today and you are typing out your email, You also need to include your actual interview questions. Remember, you have two options for how you could go about that. You either need to include your interview questions directly in the email, or you can include the interview questions on a Google Doc, which you attach to the email. I am okay either way. So to recap, with the time that we have left, you need to make sure your notes are done over the video we just watched, and then you're going to head to Google Classroom, open up what you see here, copy and paste this into an email, complete it, send the email to me and to your section editor.